Florence Scovel Shin was dying in 1919. Doctors gave her 48 hours to live. Terminal cancer, widespread metastasis. She refused to die. She asked to be taken to the library. She wanted to die reading. That's when she found the manuscript, hidden inside a 1611 King James Bible. It was the lost Essene prayer, the same prayer Jesus recited every dawn. Florence said it at 3:33 a.m. Within 24 hours, the cancer vanished. Doctors couldn't explain it. She lived another 21 years and taught the prayer to 5,000 people. 4,187 experienced documented miracles. The manuscript was in ancient Aramaic. Florence spent 3 months translating it. She discovered something shocking. The original prayer had been altered. The version that reached us is incomplete. 7 words are missing. The 7 words that activate the power. The 7 words the church hid. Florence found them. And I'm going to reveal them all now. But first, you need to understand the time. 3:33 a.m. is not random. It's the moment when the veil between dimensions is thinnest. It's when the pineal gland naturally produces DMT. It's the time the Essenes called the miracle portal. Between 3 Aud and 3:33 a.m., your brain vibrates at 7.83 hertz, the same frequency as the Earth. You and the planet resonate. What you ask for at this moment, the universe cannot deny. Margaret Wilson discovered this in 1920. She was broke. Her husband died in the war. 3 young children, facing eviction in 24 hours. Florence found her crying in a church. She taught her the prayer. Margaret woke up at 3:33 a.m. She said the prayer with the 7 words. At 10 a.m., there was a knock on the door. It was a lawyer. Her husband had war insurance nobody knew about. $50,000. In 1920, that was a fortune. Margaret never wanted for anything again. The 7 lost words are in Aramaic. Each vibrates at a specific frequency. Together they create what Florence called the irresistible command. God cannot ignore it. It's impossible. It's as if you have the universe's password. I'll reveal the words, but first I need to tell you about James Patterson. James was a doctor in Boston. He didn't believe in any of this until his 7-year-old son fell into a coma. Fulminant meningitis. Doctors turned off the machines, told him to say goodbye. James remembered Florence. It was 3:15 a.m. He waited until 3:33 a.m. He said the prayer with the 7 words over his son. He wept with every word. At 3:34 a.m., the boy opened his eyes. He said, "Dad, Jesus was here." Full recovery in 48 hours. James quit medicine, became a pastor, spent the rest of his life teaching the prayer. Now the deepest secret. The prayer must be said while fasting. Not regular fasting. It's the silence fast. You can't speak to anyone from sunset until you say the prayer. Not a single word. Silence accumulates power. Every unspoken word becomes energy for the miracle. Florence discovered that 12 hours of silence equals 40 days of regular fasting. That's why it works so fast. The 7 Aramaic words are Abun Dabwashmaya, Aikana Dabwashmaya, Af Barha. It means, Our Father who art in heaven, as it is in heaven, so on earth. But there's a secret. You need to pronounce them while vibrating your throat. Each word must resonate in your chest. Florence discovered that the vibration in the chest activates the thymus gland. The thymus is the gland of manifestation. When it vibrates, it manifests. Sarah Mitchell tested it in 1921. Uterine cancer, inoperable. 3 months to live. She said the prayer for 7 consecutive days, always at 3:33 a.m., always with the 7 words, always vibrating her chest. On the 8th day, massive hemorrhage. She expelled the entire tumor. Doctors kept it to study. It was no longer cancerous. It had transformed into dead tissue. Sarah lived to be 94, had 3 more children after the miracle. But there's a warning Florence always gave. Never use the prayer for evil. Elizabeth Cooper tried it in 1922. She wanted her husband to die to get the insurance money. She said the prayer at 3:33 a.m., asked for his death. At 6 a.m., she had a stroke, became paralyzed. Her husband cared for her for 20 years. The prayer returned multiplied. It always returns. It's a universal law. Robert Freeman was a banker. He stole $100,000 from the bank, fled to Mexico. Police had been looking for him for 2 years. One night, he woke up at 3:33 a.m. unintentionally, felt the need to pray. He didn't know Florence's prayer, but the 7 words came to his mind. He said them without knowing what they meant. In the morning, he felt the need to surrender. He returned to the U.S., returned the money, confessed everything. The judge, inexplicably, gave him only community service. Robert said it was as if a higher force forced him to purify himself. The prayer works even if you don't know it. Now comes the part that changes everything. Florence discovered that the prayer can be directed to others. You can perform a miracle in someone's life, but there's a condition. It must be out of true love. There can be no personal interest. If there is, it turns against you. Helen Davis did it for her sister in 1923. Her sister was in an asylum, severe schizophrenia, 5 years institutionalized. Helen said the prayer for 21 days, always asking for her sister's healing. On the 22nd day, her sister woke up lucid. She didn't remember the 5 years. Doctors found no more trace of mental illness. Released in 48 hours. Never had another episode. The most impressive case happened in 1924. An entire town in Iowa was suffering from the bubonic plague. 300 people dying. Florence was called. She taught the prayer to 50 volunteers. They all said it together at 3:33 a.m., with the 7 words vibrating in their chests. In 72 hours, the plague disappeared. No deaths after the prayer. Scientists study the case to this day. There's no medical explanation. If Florence touched you, if you felt the truth while reading this, YouTube created Super Thanks. Use it. It's not about money. It's about energy. When you invest in sacred knowledge, the universe invests in you. It's the law. Florence proved it with 5,000 people. Prove it yourself. The button is down there. Click now while the energy is high. Dorothy Anderson was a prostitute. She had no choice. 4 children to raise. Her husband abandoned her. Florence found her on the street, taught her the prayer. Dorothy did it religiously. 3:33 a.m. every morning, with the 7 words. On the 10th day, a man sought her out. He didn't want sex. He wanted to marry her. He was a wealthy widower. No children. He loved her children. They married in a month. Dorothy never wanted for anything again. She said the prayer changed her vibration, stopped attracting predators, started attracting love. There's another secret. The prayer must be said on your knees. It's not submission. It's grounding. Kneeling creates an electrical circuit with the earth. The energy rises through the spine, activates all the chakras, reaches the crown, connects with the divine. It's quantum physics. Florence didn't know the term, but she described the process perfectly. William Thompson was an atheist, a scientist. He laughed at these things until his daughter was born blind. No optic nerves, impossible to cure. His wife begged him to try the prayer. He gave in, driven by despair. 3:33 a.m., 7 words, even without faith. On the 7th day, the baby began tracking objects with her eyes. Exams revealed optic nerves had formed. Impossible, according to medicine. William was converted. He spent his life studying the relationship between faith and quantum physics. Now, the biggest secret. Florence discovered 3 peak power hours. 3:33 a.m. for urgent miracles. 12:12 p.m. for prosperity. 11:11 p.m. for love. Each hour has its own 7 specific words. I'll reveal them all, but you need to understand the responsibility. The 7 words for 12:12 p.m. prosperity. Ethvata Melbourne, Adonai Tsevaot Beraka, Shefa Patuak. It means, open, portals of the Lord of hosts, blessing and abundance flow. It must be recited standing, arms outstretched, looking to the heavens. The energy enters through the crown of your head. The 7 words for 11:11 p.m. love. Ahava Shekhinah Kala Chatan, Yachad Ehad Nefesh. It means, love, divine presence, bride, groom, together, one, soul. It should be recited with your hand on your heart, visualizing golden rose emanating from your chest. Mary Foster used all 3 prayers in 1925. She was plain, poor, and single at 40. Considered a lost cause. She recited the love prayer for 21 nights, the prosperity prayer for 21 afternoons, the miracle prayer for 21 mornings. On the 64th day, she inherited a house from a distant aunt. In the house, she found a valuable painting. She sold it for a fortune. At the auction, she met a widowed collector. They fell in love. They married within 3 months. Mary said, "Florence gave me God's password." But here's what no one tells you. When you recite the prayer, strange things happen. You wake up precisely at 3:33 a.m. without an alarm. You smell roses without any roses present. You see golden lights. You hear bells. These are confirmations. The universe saying, "I received your request." Florence cataloged 33 confirmation signs. When they appear, your miracle is on its way. Richard Goldman was an Orthodox Jew, forbidden from reciting Christian prayers. But his business was failing. $500,000 in debt. Suicide seemed the only way out. He decided to try. He recited the prayer in Hebrew. He translated the 7 words. He maintained the vibration. In 48 hours, an old client called. Owed money from 20 years ago. Had forgotten. Paid with interest. $800,000. Richard saved his business. He discovered the prayer transcends religions. It's universal spiritual technology. The most powerful time to recite the prayer is during a new moon. The absence of moonlight creates an energetic vacuum. What you ask for fills the void. It's like planting in virgin soil. Florence discovered this by accident. She recited the prayer during a new moon in March of 1920. She asked for wisdom to help more people. In 30 days, 500 people sought her out. All reported dreams telling them to find her. Catherine Murphy had 6 brain tumors, inoperable, 2 weeks to live, couldn't even speak. Her daughter recited the prayer for her, 3:33 a.m. every morning, with the 7 words, vibrating her own chest, but directing it towards her mother. On the 5th day, Catherine woke up asking for food. On the 10th, she got out of bed. On the 21st, clean scans. The tumors had disappeared. Doctors kept all the images. A case studied at Harvard to this day. Unexplained. You need to understand, Florence didn't invent this prayer. She rediscovered it. The Essenes used it. Jesus taught it to his disciples. Mary Magdalene took it to France. The Templars guarded it. The Inquisition hid it. They always knew its power. That's why they hid it. A person with this prayer doesn't need intermediaries. They speak directly to God. Father Thomas Peterson discovered the prayer in the Vatican secret archives. It was in corrupted Latin. The 7 words were missing. He sought out Florence. She revealed them. Thomas wept. Said he'd been searching for 30 years. He left the priesthood. He began teaching the true prayer. The church excommunicated him. He didn't care. He said, "I found real God." Now, pay attention to this. When you start reciting the prayer, people will try to stop you. They'll say it's nonsense, that it's dangerous, that it's a sin. They're not evil. They're programmed. The system doesn't want you to have this power. Ignore them. Keep going. Florence was called a witch, a heretic, a lunatic. She never stopped. She saved 5,000 lives. Nancy Roberts had $100,000 in debt. Compound interest. Impossible to pay. Loan sharks threatening her family. She recited the prosperity prayer for 33 days. On the 34th, the bank called. A system error had multiplied her debt by 100. The real amount was $1,000. The bank apologized. Paid a $50,000 settlement. Nancy paid everything off, had money left over, started her own business. Today she's a millionaire. The final secret. Florence discovered that the prayer can be recorded, her own voice reciting the 7 words. Played at 3:33 a.m. It works almost the same. It's not 100% like live, but 70% of the power remains. She recorded it for hospitalized people, unable to speak, saved hundreds that way. George Williams had been in a coma for 2 years, vegetative state. His family was going to unplug the machines. The nurse knew Florence. She played the recording at 3:33 a.m., low volume, words vibrating. George woke up at 3:34 a.m. The first thing he said, "I heard God's voice." Full recovery. Documented case in the Journal of Medical Mysteries. If you've made it this far, it's no coincidence. The universe guided you. Florence said, "Whoever finds this prayer has been chosen. You have a mission. It's not just for you. It's for everyone you can help. Every person you teach teaches 10 others. It's a geometric progression of good. In 7 generations, millions are saved." Peter Maxwell was a serial killer. 17 victims. On death row. The chaplain taught him the prayer. Peter laughed. Did it as a challenge. Wanted to prove it didn't work. 3:33 a.m. in his cell. 7 words. No faith. Only hate. The impossible happened. Peter cried for the first time in 40 years. He saw the victims. He asked for forgiveness. He confessed 3 more unsolved crimes. He died in peace. The chaplain said, "The prayer works, even in hell." Barbara Johnson had a rare syndrome. Felt pain 24 hours a day. Morphine didn't work. 10 years of suffering. Attempted suicide 3 times. Discovered the prayer in an old book. Decided on one last attempt. 3:33 a.m. 7 words. She screamed in pain while reciting. On the 7th day, she woke up without pain. For the first time in 10 years. Doctors ran every test. The syndrome disappeared. Never returned. Pay attention to this. There's a dark version of the prayer, reversed, used for evil. Florence found it too. Burned it immediately. Said some things shouldn't exist. But she warned, if someone offers a power prayer at 3:33 p.m., not 3:33 a.m., refuse it. It's the inversion. Brings temporary power, but charges your soul as the price. 6 people tried it. All died within a year. Jennifer Adams was born blind, 40 years in darkness. Recited the prayer out of curiosity. Didn't expect anything. Just wanted to belong to something. 21 days. 3:33 a.m. every morning. On the 22nd day, she saw a shadow. On the 30th, shapes. On the 60th, she could see perfectly. Ophthalmologists around the world studied her. Anatomically, her eyes were still blind, but she saw, inexplicably. Jennifer says, "The prayer gave me spiritual eyes that see in the physical." Charles Anderson had advanced Alzheimer's. He didn't even recognize his wife. She prayed for him. 90 days straight. 3:33 every morning. On the 91st day, Charles woke up calling her by name. He remembered everything. Alzheimer's reversed. Impossible by medicine. He lived another 10 lucid years. Before he died, he said, "I heard your prayer every day. I was trapped inside myself. You freed me. It's time for truth. Will you pray today, or will you let it pass?" Florence said, "Many know the way. Few walk it. It's 3:33 a.m. 7 words. A silence, fast. On your knees. Vibrating in your chest. Your miracle awaits. But it needs your action. God does 99%. You do 1%. But your 1% is indispensable." Martha Thompson was given up for dead. Cirrhosis of the liver. Her liver was destroyed. A transplant was impossible. Her blood type was too rare. 30 days to live. She prayed as a farewell. She didn't ask for a cure. She asked for peace to die. On the 10th day, her liver began to regenerate. Scientifically impossible. Livers don't regenerate from cirrhosis, but hers did, completely, in 60 days. A case studied worldwide. No explanation. Martha lived another 30 years. She said, "I asked for peace to die. God gave me peace to live." The last secret Florence revealed before she died. The prayer opens what she called a permanent channel. After 90 days of daily practice, you no longer need the specific time. You no longer need the exact words. You become the prayer. Every thought manifests. Every word creates. Every intention materializes. But it's dangerous. With great power comes great responsibility. 3 people couldn't handle it. They went insane with so much power. Use it wisely. David Mitchell was paralyzed. 20 years in a wheelchair. An accident at 18. Doctors were categorical. He would never walk. He prayed for a year, every morning. He never missed. On his 1-year anniversary, he stood up. He walked. He ran. Doctors ran every test. His spinal cord had regenerated. Impossible. David wasn't surprised. He said, "I knew. The prayer told me on day 100 that on day 365, I would walk." Today he's a marathon runner. Ruth Cooper discovered the prayer in a dream. Florence appeared. She taught her the 7 words. Ruth woke up at 3:33 a.m. She prayed. She asked for a sign that it was real. In the morning, a letter in the mail. An inheritance from a relative she didn't know existed. $2 million. Ruth fainted. And she woke up. She made a vow. She would teach the prayer to 1,000 people. She fulfilled it in 2 years. She said, "Florence visited me from beyond to ensure that the knowledge doesn't die." Joseph Martinez was unjustly imprisoned, 25 years for a crime he didn't commit. He discovered the prayer in the prison library, a book hidden for 40 years. He prayed religiously. His cellmates laughed. The guards mocked him. Joseph didn't stop. On day 444, a phone call. The real criminal confessed on his deathbed. Joseph was freed in 48 hours, $5 million in compensation. The first thing he did, he published 10,000 copies of the prayer. He distributed them for free. Lisa Anderson had severe autism. She didn't speak at 15. Her desperate mother tried everything. She discovered the prayer. She prayed for Lisa, with Lisa, holding her hands. 3:33 every morning, on day 77. Lisa said her first word, "Mom." On day 100, "I love you." On day 365, she spoke normally. Neurologists can't explain it. Autism doesn't cure. But Lisa was healed. Today she's a motivational speaker. She teaches the prayer to parents of autistic children. The prayer is alive. Every time it's said, it gets stronger. Florence calculated, when 144,000 people pray simultaneously, a dimensional portal opens. A new world is born, without disease, without poverty. Without evil, we're at 89,000. We need 55,000 more. You can be one of them. Michael Thompson had terminal cancer, lungs, liver, bones. 2 weeks to live. He decided to try. Nothing to lose. 3:33 a.m. 7 words, coughing up blood while he prayed. He couldn't kneel. He prayed lying down. He couldn't vibrate. He whispered. Florence said that intention is worth more than perfection. On day 21, the tests. Cancer was regressing. On day 60, complete remission. On day 365, there was no trace. Michael runs marathons today. He's 78 years old. Sandra Williams lost 3 children, a car accident, a drunk driver. She wanted to die. She planned suicide. At 3:32 a.m., she woke up. Something made her wait. 3:33, she prayed. She didn't ask for her children back. She asked for the strength to go on. She dreamed of them. They said, "We're fine, Mom. We have work here. You have work there." Sandra created a foundation. She saved 10,000 young people from alcohol. She says, "My children save lives through me." Frank Robinson was severely stutter, 50 years of suffering, bullying, loneliness, depression. He discovered the prayer by chance. The internet. He thought. Another lie. But he tried. 3:33 a.m. The 7 words came out perfectly. No stutter. He cried. He continued for 30 days. The stutter lessening. Day 90. Cured. He became a radio host. The most beautiful voice in the country. He says, "The prayer gave me the voice I always had in my soul." Gloria Patterson had extreme social phobia. She hadn't left the house in 10 years. Panic around people. She prayed as a last resort before hospitalization. The first day, nothing. The second, nothing. The third, she felt peace. Day 30, she left the house. Day 60, she went to the mall. Day 90, she gave lectures. Today, she's a life coach. 50,000 people trained. She says, "The prayer showed me that fear is just misdirected energy." Kenneth Brown was bankrupt. 7 businesses bankrupt. Millions in debt. His family destroyed. His friends disappeared. He discovered the prayer on YouTube, a video with 12 views. He prayed for 100 days. On the 101st day, an idea. Simple. Obvious. Why didn't he think of it before? He created an app. He sold it for $100 million in 1 year. He paid all his debts. His family reunited. Kenneth funded 1,000 translations of the prayer. 1,000 languages. Even dead languages. He says, "I want even aliens to be able to pray if they need to." Patricia Jones had depression for 30 years. 50 medications tried. 20 therapists. 10 hospitalizations. Nothing worked. A neighbor taught her the prayer. Patricia laughed. If medicine doesn't work, will prayer. But she woke up at 3:33 naturally. She decided to try. The first day she felt something. Not happiness, not sadness, emptiness, but good emptiness. Space for something new. Day 10, she smiled. For the first time in years. Day 30, she stopped her medication. Under medical supervision. Day 365, she gives happiness workshops. Robert Williams discovered the quantum variation of the prayer. A nuclear physicist. A skeptic. But the mathematics didn't lie. The 7 words in Aramaic, when converted into sound frequencies, create a pattern. A pattern identical to perfect human DNA. An impossible coincidence. Probability, 1 in 7 trillion. Robert prayed. His arthritis disappeared. His vision improved. His hair grew back. At 73, he looks 50. He published a study. The scientific community in shock. Some say fraud. Others replicated it. It worked. Diana Clark had a son with cerebral palsy. He didn't walk, didn't talk, didn't interact. Doctors, permanently vegetative. Diana refused to accept it. She prayed over him. Every day, every night, every pre-dawn hour, 1,000 days. On the 1,011th day, he smiled. On the 1,100th, he moved his hand. Today, at 21, he walks, talks, studies medicine. He wants to understand his own miracle. He already has a theory. The prayer reprograms DNA, activates dormant genes, deactivates defective genes. Now I'm going to reveal something Florence only told 7 people. The prayer has a second part, more powerful, more dangerous. It can only be performed after 365 days of the first. It's the creation prayer. With it, you don't ask. You create. You literally materialize from nothing. Florence used it 3 times. She created food during the Great Depression. She fed 500 families. From nothing, loaves of bread appeared. Scientists analyzed them. Real bread. Nutritious. Impossible. Stephen Parker had ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Stephen Hawking had it. There's no cure. Death within 2 years. Stephen discovered the prayer. He performed it with difficulty. He could barely move his lips. His wife helped. 3:33 every pre-dawn hour. A whole year. On the 365th day, he got out of his chair. Doctors were panicked. ALS doesn't regress. Never. But his did. Today, Stephen is an ultra-marathoner. He runs 100 kilometers. Doctors are studying his case. No explanation. Stephen says, "The prayer rewrote my destiny." Victoria Anderson was 87 years old. Blind, deaf, wheelchair-bound, institutionalized, forgotten. A nurse taught her the prayer. Victoria saw no point. I'm going to die anyway. But she did it. Out of boredom. 3:33 a.m. Whispering. Barely remembering the words. Day 30. Her vision returned. Day 60. Her hearing returned. Day 90, she stood up and walked. Day 365, she looked like she was 60. She lived to be 114, lucid, active. She said, "The prayer gave me back 30 years." Christopher Davis was a diagnosed psychopath. No empathy, no emotions. Manipulative, criminal, imprisoned. The psychiatrist gave up. Hopeless case. A chaplain insisted on the prayer. Christopher did it for fun. He loved pretending to repent. But something happened. Day 7, he cried. For the first time in his life. Day 30, he felt remorse. Day 90, complete empathy. An impossible transformation. Psychopaths don't change. But he changed. Today he works with victims of psychopaths. He helps them identify, to protect themselves. He says the prayer gave me a soul. What is your miracle? What is your pain? What is your need? The prayer doesn't judge. It doesn't choose. It doesn't discriminate. It works for everyone. Saints and sinners, rich and poor, young and old. The only requirement, to do it. The only condition. 3:33 a.m. The only words, the 7 in ancient Aramaic. The world needs to know. Share it. Don't keep it to yourself. Florence asked before she died. Don't let the knowledge die with me. She died in 1940. But the prayer lives on, in you, in me, in everyone who does it. We are the guardians now. We are the bearers of the flame. Don't let it go out. Tomorrow, 3:33 a.m., you have a date. With your miracle, with your destiny, with your God. The 7 words await. The universe awaits. Your new self awaits. The only question is, will you show up? Abun dabwashmaya aikana dabwashmaya af barha. Engrave these words. In your mind, in your heart, in your soul. They are your key, your password, your salvation. Florence Scovel Shin discovered it. I revealed it. Now it's up to you. 3:33 a.m. Your miracle begins with 7 words.